How's it going, everybody? Nicky D here, coming to live, man, yet again. Today, man, I want to do a little video on Star Wars The Force Awakens, and I'll explain a little bit more in a moment, but I just quickly want to talk about what I'm doing, where I'm at, because I know you guys are thinking, wow, that looks interesting. Yes, we're at the Salt Marsh Trail today. We'll give you a little flip of the camera. Look at that, there you go, very nice spot. Decided to shoot over here after work, actually, so it's like 6 p.m. You know, probably getting back for a movie and some for a hungry man here soon. But I figured, you know what better place to make a video. We're going to extend the old pole. As you can see, we've got the, there we go, further the better. Yeah, you can probably see I've got the old camera in the hand. We're doing some birding. I've got the drone around my shoulder. And hopefully, if I remember, we'll put some drone shots up just to keep you guys entertained before we get into the topic. But yeah, that being said, drone shots up, I'll just explain, and you can just look at some shots. There's one I took of me like sitting on the bench, like with my shades on. It looks kind of edgy, but I think it was kind of cool. So that being said, I want to talk about Star Wars The Force Awakens. So this kind of like a movie review, but it's gonna spoil like everything about the movie. There is a no spoiler section. It's just all spoilers, and I'm just gonna talk about it and why I don't like it. So you've been warned. So I actually saw The Force Awakens. It's kind of scary. I think it came out in 2015, if I remember correctly. So I'm just saying it's scary that it was that long ago. It's like 9 years ago. That's kind of terrifying. And I saw the movie when it first came out. I liked it. I'll confess it. I feel like it was longer ago, honestly. No, I liked it. I liked The Force Awakens when it first came out. I quite enjoyed it. However, I did completely understand people's criticisms that it was basically just A New Hope. I did get that, but I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to let them, you know, take away what I enjoyed, right? So I enjoyed it, and I think everybody's entitled to that. However, it is the only movie out of the sequel trilogy that I actually enjoyed. The other two, so The Rise of Skywalker and The Last Jedi, I couldn't stand them. I've seen them once. Pretty sure I saw them in theater, and I have never in my life watched them a second time, and I'm going to. That's why I shared it with The Force Awakens. So I want to talk about The Force Awakens, kind of what I thought then, what I think now, and I'm going to try to just not really talk about the other two movies as much as possible. So just to say overall, like where I'm at, if you just take it as a standalone film, where I'm at. So, yeah. Anyway, yes, it will spoil. I will spoil the movie. So yeah, so the movie begins, like this isn't going to be a complete plot analysis, but the movie begins and I was already struggling. So again, this is on the rewatch, okay? I'm not going to talk about anything that I felt like 10 years ago. So once the movie starts, I immediately had criticisms. So I don't really understand like the resistance at all and how the First Order came to be. It just doesn't really seem to add up to me very much. It's like there we are. There we are. Controls are inverted, that's why that's like, takes me a minute. So yeah, I don't know how they came to be. So last time I checked, the rebellion won and it was over. Like they're like, we got them. And now they've got this like massive army that just no problem. And again, hopefully we'll have hopefully I'll just like inlay footage on screen throughout the video. So just, you can see something while I talk. And me, of course me. Yeah, I just don't like risking copyright, so I only do so many seconds randomly throughout the video. So anyway, that being said, I don't know how they came to be, right? So they're supposed to be like the remnants of the Empire. That I totally get. But I don't understand how you have a republic that won, and then you still allow them to do that. Not alone, by the way, let alone make Starkiller Base, which is just, you know, that's its own argument and its own story coming up in a few minutes. That being said, so we get through that, and you're like, okay, so the text crawl, the title crawl, you know, there's a problem. The opening scene, like, you could just nitpick it to death, but Poe Dameron goes in trying to find a map to Luke, and again, like, why is he gone? You don't know. Would Luke have just given up? Probably not. Like, he just seemed pretty optimistic last time we saw him on screen, and you're like, okay, that's just a little strange from the last movie I just saw of him. But yeah, so either way, he's like, okay, we got to find Luke. And again, like, you are immediately thrown into the idea that it's A New Hope. And it's kind of frustrating because you're like, okay, I've seen this. I know this, you know? Plot for plot, like that, there's so many points that are like, got it. Poe goes in there, and when the stormtroopers arrive, which, I mean, I'll just call them stormtroopers. I don't know if they've got like a specific name, but I'm pretty sure they just call them stormtroopers. Finn is the only one that like actually gets like a human quality about him, right? Where he like morally is conflicted. He's like, oh, I don't know, man. You know, I'm a little gray zone for me here. And it's like, okay, cool. Like that's something I could get behind, you know? Now, supposedly, he says this at some point in the movie, that the First Order's been like taking children, like abducting children, and then like teaching them the ways of the First Order. And basically, you know, like, I don't know if I'd go enslaving, but yeah, it's pretty much enslaving them and teaching them from a young age. So what I guess what I don't understand is how that's even possible in the confines of the story. It's like, how does that make any sense that that even happened? Because that would be a massive security breach, right? Like, he's the only one. And I find it weird that, like, you humanize Finn, and then, like, 20 minutes later, he's, like, talking to Poe like he's his buddy, and they're in a TIE fighter, like, blowing them up, like the stormtroopers. It's like, yeah, those are other children, like, well, not children now, but they were other children that got abducted, and you're treating them like they're monsters, and it's funny now, right? Like, it's like, oh, yeah, we got them, because they're all faceless. Captain Phasma in the movie is one of the biggest wastes of an actress or an actor I've ever seen. Yeah, I really don't know what else to say. I feel bad for her. Her role in the movie was completely stupid. She did basically nothing. They even hold her hostage and put a blaster up to her like head, and they call her, I remember they call her Chrome Dome in a later movie. That's my one spoiler. Just kidding. But anyway, her armor is supposed to like reflect blaster shots, or like it does nothing to it. It's like, yeah, okay. Why do you have a blaster to her head then? It's gonna do nothing. Anyway, that just being said, we're nitpicking. But yeah, her role is completely wasted in the movie. Once they escape, though, they go down to Jakku, which I know the big argument, it basically is just Tatooine. You know, it's pretty accurate. It looks like it. I think one of the cool things I liked about it originally is that you saw, like, all the wreckage. Like, you know, you'd see, like, an AT-AT destroyed or Star Destroyer destroyed, you know, and Rey, as you get first introduced, like, going through there and rummaging. Thought it was kind of cool. And you obviously realize there was a great battle in Jakku and nobody really knows about it. You know, so I was like, okay, I'm sold. Rey teaming up with Poe is probably some of the most awkward shit ever. I didn't remember it being that bad, like really. But when so when they get introduced, like obviously Poe gets captured by Kylo. I don't know. I was meh with that. But he gets captured by Kylo, and it's like, all right, they're torturing him. They find out it's a droid on the planet, like obviously, you know. Obviously he didn't have it. He was on the planet, didn't just escape out of nowhere. So they go back down to the planet, start looking, and eventually they go after Rey and Finn. So Rey and Finn meet up. And again, I'm not going to go over every detail of the movie. I'm going to try to summarize it so we're not out here too long making this video. And either way, they meet up, and their whole like interaction just feels a little forced. But either way, they meet up. When the TIE fighter crashed, Poe wears Poe's jacket, or Finn, sorry, wears Poe's jacket. And the whole idea is that BB-8, so the droid they notoriously sold to everybody. I'm trying to switch arms here. It's not easy with this camera. There we go. Oh, that's a lot better. A lot better. So when BB-8 recognizes the jacket, so he's like, all right, what's going on? Hilariously enough, Poe's just not there when it crashes. Like, Finn's there and he's like unscathed, but Poe's just gone completely, and you just assume he died. And like 20 minutes later, he's flying in with the rebellion. Yeah, all right. Or the resistance, I guess they're called. That being said, so it moves forward where the TIE fighters start to intercept them, as one would do. So they send in the TIEs to go get them. The TIE fighters miss every single shot. Literally, they try to boot up the Millennium Falcon, because apparently they just have it. And even at that point, too, they're just missing it as it's like hovering in the air. It's like 1 foot off the ground. I'm going to get a bird picture here. Part 2 coming in. Whoop, there we go. Part 2. All right, I tried a part 2 and I realized I dropped my microphone, the clip-on mic. Not a good time. A little bit of panic. So that being said, so they boot up the Millennium Falcon, and the TIE fighters just cannot hit them, and it is just a thing throughout the movie that you just know no one is ever in danger, and it just drives me insane. That being said, they get out of there. They obviously just defeat them with no issue. Rey just knows how to do everything. But I actually kind of liked everybody had a dynamic together. I don't even think Poe met Rey in the movie at all. Like, I don't think he even knows about her. But he met Finn, and they've got like a good relationship, which I enjoyed. And I like that Poe really shines at multiple moments in the movie. So anyway, after the fact, they meet up with Han Solo, which is one of the worst scenes I've ever seen. I hated it completely. Like, there's just like creatures running into the Millennium Falcon. Everybody's running around somewhere. Like, one of them, like, they'll grab a bunch of mercenaries, kill them instantly, grabs Finn, just drags him. And I was laughing because half the movie is Finn just screaming Rey. I was gonna do it out here. But yeah, I was just gonna scream Rey. But like, he's every 2 minutes, I feel like he's just sitting there and he'll get like, something will happen. And he's like, Rey! Rey! It's like, bro, just leave. And not to mention, by the way, too, when the TIE fighters are swooping down to try to get them, when they're running to the Millennium Falcon, for some reason, he keeps like holding her hand. And she even is like, why do you keep doing it? And it's like, yeah, I want to know too. Like, saw me just look down at the microphone, make sure it's there. They're like, yeah, I don't understand. I don't know what they're trying to force, but that was terrible, and it was really awkward and cringe. I haven't mentioned at this point in the movie, by the way, but like, there are so many just quips and jokes.
Some good shots.
Cheers. Said I hope I got some good shots. It's like, you better believe it. That being said, so it's like so many quips, so many jokes. It's like you're just watching a Marvel film, you know? Have the serious moments, let them breathe, you know? But yeah, that being said, we'll move on. So after that, like I said, they get with Han. Everybody's figured out. They go to, I don't even remember her name, but it's like a little alien creature. They're like, we're going to go link up with that. Finn makes this big idea that he's going to leave, and he confesses that he's not with the Resistance. I don't even know why he bothered lying about it in the first place. But anyway, he gets out of there, so he's going to leave. They make it look like he's going to leave. And then naturally, everything just goes to shit after that. She has Rey has like some force vision with the lightsaber, which of course this little person has. And Finn takes the lightsaber, the First Order shows up, and Finn gets absolutely mauled by a random trooper with like a shock stick that doesn't can fight with against the lightsaber. Considering like the Jedi are supposed to be like extinct, I just find that kind of weird that he would have a weapon that can do that. I find that a little odd. But I enjoyed Finn getting destroyed. I appreciated that. Random trooper, by the way. They ended up getting captured because, you know, whatever, that's how that goes. And the Resistance comes in with X-Wings because there was two snitches. One told the First Order, one told the Resistance they were there. I think also, by the way, at this point, if I remember correctly, Starkiller Base has already destroyed multiple planets. Whatever. It's not even worth mentioning. It's cool, but they're like, oh, we'll kill the Republic. I'm like, yeah, aren't the Republic and the Resistance the exact same thing? That being said, the Resistance comes in. I actually really enjoyed that fight scene. The ground battle part, I don't at all, really. Just looked kind of awkward. But again, Poe's in the fleet. He's killing it. So we'll try to speed up. I don't want to be here all day. So we get through that section. I think Rey gets technically captured. She's firing the blaster for the first time and immediately knows how to use it. Doesn't make a lot of sense. They get back to the Resistance base and everybody's chilling. It's like, all right, cool. We know what we got to do. We got to get in there. Everybody's just talking, big talk, right? Big game. They just know what's up. And the whole idea is basically they're going to get into Starkiller Base. They're going to hit one point. They're going to destroy it. And they're going to get out of Dodge. I'm going to take a seat here, boys. So they're gonna try to get in there, get out of Dodge, right? And I know I'm just glossing over details of the movie, but I'm on the go. I don't have a script. Look at this. There we go. Take a quick seat for a second. Smell the salt water. There we go. Look at that, chilling. So that being said, when they go in there, they're sending 14 X-Wings, and they make multiple moments where an X-Wing gets destroyed, and they'll be like, "We lost half our fleet." It's like, guys, you had 7 ships. I don't understand. The First Order just seems completely incompetent, which is unfortunate because Hux is one of my favorite characters in this movie. So General Hux is he kind of reminds me of Tarkin. He completely is against Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren just looks like a baby without the mask on. It's kind of funny. And I like that Snoke was such a big, ominous threat. Later, not so much. But in the first movie, in this trilogy, right, he looks, you're like, oh snap, right? He's going to be a problem. But I really liked Hux. He kind of stood up to Kylo a lot. He challenged him. and I really enjoyed his character. But again, I don't like when stormtroopers and troopers in general are just made to be jokes. You know, if you want to see where they're not a joke, go watch Andor, right? They're not a joke. They're very serious, and they do their job, and they do it well. So yeah, so rather unfortunate. The end battle scene, I think, is pretty well done. But before that, they take out Han Solo. And I find it really weird because, like, after the fact that he gets killed by his son, so Kylo Ren, stabs him with a lightsaber, Chewie, like, reacts. She got Rey in there. She's like, no! It's like, whatever. You barely knew him. But Chewie, like, gets off the ship later, and Leia hugs Rey. Like, she walks by Chewie and hugs her. I was so confused. Like, she just snubbed Chewie. It's like, bro, you've known him, right? Like, you walked right by him, but it's Rey, so you gotta give her some love. The end battle scene, I think, is pretty good. With, like, I'm referring to, like, the X-wings and stuff. They have shots, like, in the cockpit where you're seeing, like, the missiles coming up and blowing up an X-wing. That was so excellently done. I have to give credit where it's due. And, like, the effects, the visuals, the sound, everything there is amazing. They did fantastic. But yeah, again, like, in terms of, like, the end battle, I don't know. Overall, it was, like, whatever. I mean, like, overall, it was, like, whatever. But I enjoyed it. So hopefully that's not been too long. I'm trying to keep these about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, because I'm going to watch all three and I'm going to crap on them. But I think, like, again, I've glossed over some details, but I think overall it's pretty good. The last thing I'll talk about is the end duel with the lightsaber. So the lightsaber duel with Finn, technically Finn, Rey, and Kylo. So yeah, so obviously Finn is not force sensitive, but he uses the lightsaber, and he's not great at it, but he's got it. He uses it. So Kylo gets shot by Chewbacca, which does, like, nothing, yet it blows up troopers like 20 minutes prior. So it's very strange. Needless to say, he gets shot by, like, the bowcaster and defeats Finn, and he's, like, taunting him. He's hitting the wound, like, he's taunting him. And Rey is fighting him, and I actually appreciated that they were just, like, swinging them like baseball bats, because I thought, like, Rey wasn't trained, so I was like, all right, that makes sense, right? That's cool. However, the problem is that they just keep doing that later, so it was like, well, okay. And Kylo's kind of doing it too. But he loses to her, and I'm not pissed he lost. I'm pissed because he was beating her completely, and she heard the word the Force, and was like Force, and was like, oh. And she closed her eyes, and then immediately went on the counterattack and beat him. And I don't really agree with that. She also uses the Force mind trick on people. She uses that when she's in prison, and it doesn't work like 3 times, and then it works the 4th. You don't even know anything about the Force, and, like, all of a sudden you can just do it. I find that really strange and odd. There's really no other way to word it, so I don't know. I mean, I think, like I said, like, the honeymoon phase when I first saw it, you know, you're in theaters, a little younger. I liked the movie. I was more into Star Wars too. I really liked it when I first saw it, but I understood the criticisms of it being like A New Hope. You know, they're there. They're very much there. It's pretty much 1 for 1 in a lot of cases. And again, like, now seeing it as, like, technically more than a second time, I definitely rewatched it, like, when it first came out. But now watching it and being way more critical, I mean, just a lot of the stuff I just thought was really silly. And keeping in mind, out of the trilogy, this is the one I liked the most. The other 2 I hated. So we'll see how that goes. We'll get to that. All right, anyway, people are coming. I'm going to end the video. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.